All history of theology is full of conspiracy, different religious groups corrupting each other, putting their theology on new one. Nearly all conspiracy goes back to Annunaki, council of gods, like Olympians, or Elohim and divine council. Amen, Adon, Aten, Adonai, Amun. Vocabulary is so confusing and I cannot be sure of the actual source. One mind-blowing sample is Amen, which is said to come from Annunaki council. At the Annuaki voting system, the word to approve was haem, meaning so be it. This was later manifested in Hebrew ritual by the supposedly equivalent word Amen, but this Egyptian word actually related to the state god Amen, and to something hidden or concealed. Now let's see more obfuscated vocabulary. Adonai. Yahweh or Jehovah did not permit his name to be pronounced, nor written, for it was too holy. In truth, God's name is unknown to humans, and we would not be able to understand or pronounce his omnipotent name if we did know it. However, some in the Great Tribulation will have God's true name written upon them. The name Yahweh is derived from the Old Testament, where God stated to Moses, "I am who I am," or Yahweh in Hebrew. Yahweh was a name unique to Israel and has not been discovered to be a name for a deity outside Israel. Yahweh was too holy for human lips. The Jews adopted Adonai, or Lord, which was later reflected in Greek translations as Lord. Adonai translates into English from Greek as Lord, meaning God. Adon is translated as Lord, while I translates as my, forming my Lord. Originally, according to Lawrence Gardner, Adon derived from a Phoenician title meaning my Lord. This accounts for Exodus permitting I am or Lord as interchangeable in the text. Aten, Aten, Adon. The Hebrew letter D is the counterpart to the Egyptian letter T, while the Hebrew letter O is the counterpart to the Egyptian letter E, thereby establishing Adon as the Egyptian version of the god Aten. Aten reigned supreme under Pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten was also known in history as Amenhotep IV, translated as glorious spirit of the Aten. Akhenaten obviously reversed his religious beliefs at some point in time, represented by his new name, Akhenaten, which honored his new god. Akhenaten obviously was reared to worship Amun. For Freud, Lawrence Gardner, Ralph Ellis more or less agrees Moses was indeed half Jewish from Joseph the Vizier, Pharaoh of Egypt. But he was aware of the Semitic religions from his relatives in Goshen. So the Aten of Akhenaten was similar to whatever the Lord Adon was for his relatives. Amen, Amun, Amon. Amen is variantly spelled as Amon and Amun, the alleged father of Alexander. Amun was the masculine god of fertility and counterpart to Isis, known variantly as the god Ra, or Marduk, from the Akkadian pantheon. Amun was always depicted wearing a ram's head, just as the Atlantean, Nephilim kings and queens of the bull cult wore ram headbands. Akhenaten closed all the other temples of the Egyptian pantheon, making him most unpopular among the followers of the pantheon and, in particular, the followers of Amun, for Akhenaten did not permit Amun worship in his reign. Aten did not possess an image, just as the Hebrew God has no image. This concept was established in Egypt well before the birth of Akhenaten. Aten was the omnipotent god introduced by Akhenaten to be the only god worth worshipping. Egyptians of that period additionally believed Aten was the god of all mankind and every creature, the unseen god that created the universe, and who also sustains creation. However, Aten and God may not be the same. Aten is a sun god in the spirit of all polytheistic religions, and is a force similar to the universal life force. Adon, Adonis, Ahura. Adonai was associated with the evil El and Baal, both sun gods like Aten. Similarly, the Semitic title Adonai, Lord, morphed into Adonis during the reign of Alexander. During this period, the Adon appellation was widely applied to the vegetation god Tammuz in the Adonis mysteries of Phoenicia. In the same way, Ahura was the title that meant Lord for the Avestan god of the Aryans, Ahura Mazda of Zoroastrianism. Here maybe we are confused because we do not know if all lords point to the same Lord. Or because of the zeitgeist of the era, everyone gave up naming their gods, so simply my master reference seemed to point to the same entity in all religions.